Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I'm here with Alec Miller, and this is the second part of our three-part free course. Super excited to have you all here. And today we're going to be talking about how to set up effective portfolios that attract your ideal clients or employers and get them to reach out to you. And we'll be reviewing some live portfolios after we do a short presentation. We'll do the Q&A where we'll go over some portfolios that have been sent in. If you have any questions, we'll also check out the chat. And I would like to know where you guys are tuning in from again. I already see Tim Holmes is here, Art Amin, Artur Matura. Hey, you guys. I recognize some of you from yesterday night, so welcome back. Super glad to have you guys here. And we're just going to do, for anyone who's new, Alec and I will quickly introduce ourselves and why we're doing this.
Yeah, so I'm Alec Miller. I'm the founder of Royals and Rogues, a creative agency / creative collective. We work with brands all over the world, mainly in the tech and gaming space. Most of our work that you've probably seen is on Godfall, which is an upcoming launch title for the PS5. We've done some gameplay trailers, some AMD showcases, and logo animation and sword animations for them. As well as a whole bunch of work that you'll never get to see for Intel because it's all NDA and previs stuff. But there may be an event coming up with them where you might get to see some of the cool stuff we've done.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I've been running my own agency for about 3 years now and was a freelancing and full-time before that with about 10 years of experience. So that's what I'm drawing from when I give you guys critique. I've lived the whole spectrum from artist to in-house to freelance to now hiring freelancers. And so I kind of have a good, I think, amount of perspective to give on this, which is why Alan brought me in so graciously.
Thank you for that introduction. So I'm Alan Plains, and I started out freelancing with Blender about 5 or 6 years ago. And when I started out, I knew nothing, and I made every mistake in the book. And I went on a journey to learn, how do you properly freelance? How do you make a good living with your passion? And through that, I went to many books, conferences, courses, and I started having breakthrough. And one of my breakthrough moments was to work on the 2018 Emmy Awards, creating 3D backgrounds in Blender and Eevee. And from then, I kind of learned how to consistently get great clients, work that I'm passionate about, and that pay me well. And since I got that breakthrough, I've been so excited to create the CG Career Booster course, which is the reason we're doing this free course is to celebrate its launch. It's on early bird discount, 15% off until November 10th. So if you want to join in, remember to come in before November 10th for the discount. And we'll also be doing live calls in there, and there's a community and all that kind of good stuff. And what I'm really passionate about is helping artists who are wanting to grow, who are hitting that wall of they don't quite understand why they have good work, they're passionate about their work, but they can't seem to get clients or they can't seem to get paid for doing, motion graphics, 3D graphic design, and all these things. So that's what I'm passionate about, and I'm super excited to talk about portfolios today. And I see we have people from Toronto, Canada, Northeast Ohio, Finland, Seattle, Washington, Brazil, currently in the Netherlands. I'm in the Netherlands right now, Silver, so that's cool. UK, originally Latvia, Kampala, Uganda, India, Hamburg, and Germany, and London. Wow, so many great countries. So I love that we all get to come together and just share this time from all over locations. So Silver asks, does this discount also work for a student discount? Yeah, there is a student discount. You can email us at support@cgboost.com for a student discount that's actually a bit higher than the early bird. And you need just to send us some identification and proof that you're a student, and we can get you that discount if you're interested. And we also have from Johannesburg, South Africa. That's awesome. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Barcelona.
Hey.
I lived in Barcelona for over 10 years in the area and in the city itself. So Sordegue, welcome.
I've visited Barcelona multiple times. It's one of my favorite cities.
Yeah, Alec actually visited me there.
I see Bangalore, India too. I lived in India for about 6 months, but I was in
nice.
I was in another part. So
that's cool. So Alec and I are super excited to connect more with you guys and start reviewing your portfolios. But before we do that, we want to cover the fundamentals that every portfolio should have to start working on your mindset. And so you start understanding how you can build a solid portfolio from the ground up, that more than just putting pretty work out there, how you can build a portfolio that actually has a purpose, a specific goal in mind, to either sell a product, get a client to reach out to you, or simply just show your work because it's a hobby and something you're passionate about. So let's get started. And just to give a quick overview, we're going to talk about the most important aspects of a creative portfolio. We're going to talk about how to choose your next personal portfolio project. How do you structure your portfolio to help clients contact you? So how do you put your artwork out there? How do you choose which pieces can go there and in which order to help your clients understand and build trust with you? We'll do our Q&A. And what we actually have for today is people have been submitting portfolios. We've gotten quite a few. We hope we can get through them all. And Alec and I will just be commenting on what we think, what our experience is, and how we can best help you with your next step. So let's get started. And Alec, Alec and I are going to talk about this. What are the most important aspects of a creative portfolio? What are clients and recruiters looking for?
Definitely that you have the most shiny, shallow depth of field, and super bright colors. That's what matters most.
Yeah, saturation up 200%.
Yes, exactly. No, I'm kidding. So what we're looking for is a few things. One is consistency. Don't oversell is something that one of my mentors, Chris Do, says a lot, where you'll see two good things and then there'll be like three bad things after those good things. And it's like just consistency. It's like, okay, they can do regular work. That's good. Two is consistency within a skill set. So chances are if I'm coming to you, I'm not hiring you. You might be hiring someone as a generalist, but even if you're hiring a generalist, you still want them to do something very specific, right? So if I'm looking for a title animator, I'm not going to hire someone with a whole bunch of rigging and modeling in their portfolio and then like maybe one title. If I'm hiring someone for rigging and animating, and then I see a whole bunch of architectural viz, I'm going to be a little confused. Because usually what that's a sign of is, what is that this person's spreading out a lot and I don't know what they did on what projects. So you want a consistent portfolio in quality, a consistent portfolio in what you're showing, the work you're showing. And then I think it's also a matter of showing how you solve the client's problems. So whatever my problem is, being able to demonstrate your thought process, being able to show your work, right? Show your work. This is like in school when you did a math project and they're like, well, how'd you get to this answer? And you're like, does it matter? I got to the answer. Yes, it does matter because I need to know if you actually did it or if you just used a calculator, right? I need to know if you understand the process it took to get there or if you just bought a model and then put it online. So being able to show your process is how you have some social proof, essentially. It's a way of saying, look, I know what I'm doing. Here's how I did it. And I can recreate that. That's what we're looking for. We don't like to take risks. We don't like to lose money. We don't like to lose our clients' money. And so what that means is we want the best assurance possible that we're going to get a return on the investment we're making into you as an artist.
Yeah. Yeah. So from my perspective, is I'm also looking for people to hire for projects. I've had it recently that a project got too big for me, so I started needing some help. And what I look for is very similar to Alec, is a good first impression. So that the first thing I see on the portfolio is a little bit about you, what you do, what problem you solve. So it doesn't mean you literally write down, I solve X problem, but through your work, you show you can, but it's not super necessary. You show consistency of this is what you're aiming for with this portfolio. And after that is on individual projects, if possible, what I like seeing is a breakdown of the challenge you had, the result, the challenge, the goals you were trying to reach with your project, and how you reached those goals. Because if you don't put that and you just put your work, what happens is the mindset I have is totally personal and is this pretty or not? And it's better if your work shows a process, which helps me start thinking with you and understanding and learning more about you. Because the more I know you, the more I can start to trust you. And the more I trust you, the more likely I am to hire you. So I also like seeing a little bit of story in a in a portfolio, just a little bit about you, a little bit to help you stand out and not be too generic. And Antoine says he's got to go, but this is a great course. Thanks for joining, Antoine, and I hope you can see the replay. And yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, if you see me leaning over or looking someplace else, I'm not being rude or checking up on my stocks. Or the presidential election. I'm checking up on the chat. I have it on the laptop over here because I'm running everything on my full screen. So I'm not trying to be rude. But yeah, I agree with Alan. All those things. It's really funny, Alan, isn't it, when you're on the other side of the screen.
You see it all of a sudden.
Right, all of a sudden it all becomes really clear. All the stuff that you think is really important, you're like, oh crap, that's not really that important. And what's funny is, and you'll see this because we're going to break down kind of our own portfolios, is me and Alan still fall for this stuff. It's so hard not to fall in love with your own work and to show off what you know is really cool and to make that the focus.
To spend 3 hours choosing the song for your demo reel, and then everyone mutes that song.
Everyone's like, what the hell is this? Just turn it down. I don't want to watch this. They're watching it like, you try to make it like 4K and then they're watching it like on their phone, just being like, oh, here's this guy skipping through. Yeah.
Yeah, even for some of the demo reels that were just sent in, I was like, mute. Oh, and it's sad, but it's true. It's how it is. But that's actually a good point, Alec. Thanks for bringing that up, because I think something people can do is to test it themselves and say, I'm going to create a fictional project, or I'm going to act like I'm my own boss that's going to hire me in the future. What would I be looking for? And I'm going to open my portfolio with that different perspective,
right?
Or send it to someone.
Yeah.
And they'll immediately point out this, and that. And those are the things to work on. Because often the number one mistake we make as creatives is wasting time on things that don't help us reach our goals. So that's the number one mistake we make with our portfolios.
Right. And then I think that's also another good question. That goes back to yesterday, which is you need to ask yourself what your goals are, right? So, defining, what do I want to do? What type of work do I want to get? How do I show off? And I think the problem is most people would say, I just want work. I want all work, anything that's going to pay me money, right? The counterintuitive thing is, that is the worst way to get good work, unfortunately, right? So it's essentially, the way I like to put it is, if you're looking to catch a fish, you use a specific bait for a specific fish. But if you put all the bait on one and throw it in, you don't catch all the fish. You catch none of the fish. Because they look at that and they're like, what is this mess of beetles and worms and smaller fish and a frog? It's like, you don't want to do that. If you want to catch something really big, you put a whole fish on there and you throw it out and you try to catch a bigger fish. If you want to catch something small, you throw some worms or some crickets, something medium sized like a grouper or something like that. You're going to throw a small frog or amphibian on there. So if you throw it all on there like this giant mess, it's just going to be a mess. And that's what I think a lot of artists do in hopes they'll catch all the clients. And then you end up catching none of them. And you're like, well, I have all this work and I don't know why I'm getting no work.
Yeah, by not being specific. Like if one of the things, sometimes we have this thought, like, what do you need? I was like, I need more money. It's like, cool, here's $1. That's not specific enough. It's like you get more money, but you didn't get what you truly needed. So it's good to define what is your portfolio supposed to do. So usually what we think as artists is we think in terms of actions. I need a portfolio. But what we should be thinking is, what results am I looking for? Tarvik says he wants more relationships.
Yesterday was relationship tips. Today's fishing tips.
Okay.
Eventually, you'll just be able to listen to this and do everything in your whole life. It's gonna be like mechanic tips, or be like, here's how to fix your car using creative thinking.
Nice.
I'm kidding. I don't know anything about cars, so that's not going to be any analogies. You'll hear a lot of boxing analogies if you listen to Alan long enough. Just wait.
Oh, yeah.
So be like, it's like you're throwing a right hook, but then you should have thrown a left hook, and then you get punched in the face.
Yeah. Here's a quick boxing one. It's better to give than to receive. That applies as artist, and it applies in boxing. It's better to give than to take. So, all right. I think I'm ready to move on. Do you feel ready, Alec?
I think so. I think we covered this pretty well. And we want to get to these portfolios. I think that's what people are here for. So we want to give the people what they want.
Yeah. All right. So how do you choose your next personal portfolio project? how to create it to attract your ideal clients and jobs.
That's a good question. How do I choose the next personal portfolio project? What's hard is there's a
All
few
right.
ways to do this. Um, my number one way is just
Yeah.
like choose something you're gonna finish, right? Like get passionate about it, make it the quality it needs to be, and then get it out there. That's the number one thing. The other thought is like I feel like again we're beating this dead horse. It's like define the parameters, right? Set yourself some parameters that once you meet those parameters, you can send it out. So it's like, what type of work am I hoping to get? Do I want to do corporate stuff? Do I not? Another great way to do this is to choose something that is, I would say, a hole in the market. So if you're looking to get work and you're not super sure, what exact industry you want to work in, but what type of work you want to do. Like let's say you really enjoy modeling, but you can model for anything. You can model for video games, you can model for architecture, you can model for anything. I would look for a hole in the market and model that. And what a hole in the market means is you're going to look through ArtStation, Dribbble, just around Instagram, what people are sharing, and then do the opposite of what everyone's doing. So if you notice, and a good way to do this is to combine two things. So you find something like a clothing brand, or you find something else. I have a friend, a project we're actually working on right now, and he's doing very, very well, is he made specifically 3D sports templates. So he's made 3D models of sports items that are incredibly high res, and you can relight and everything in Photoshop, and he's made a whole business around that. And that's because he kept looking for sports templates himself as a designer for his clients and trying to give them new products to new examples of how their logo would look on a product, and they kept finding crappy templates everywhere. So a lot of entrepreneurship comes out of this is like you just find something that's lacking. So if you have a thing you're really excited about, a brand or an IP or something like that, and there's just not a lot of content around it, and you wish someone had made that content, make it yourself. That's a lot of this is just finding something that's missing and then making it. And then what you're going to find is people are going to be attracted to that because, well, you're the only one in that space, right? So I used a book example yesterday. Someone made like just a 3D, interactive book that you could move around. And that was a lacking space. There's not a lot of people that are making those things. So finding a space like that and then entering it with your product is a good personal project, I think.
Good. Very good advice. So something I would add to that is this is more of a specific tip, but I would first, as you get excited about a new idea, we artists, I think most of us tend to think about the big, like, I want to make a movie, I want to make a video game, I want to make a huge thing, and we tend to overcommit. So when I have something I'm excited about, I try and simplify it to its essence. So if I like the video game, for example, Zelda, and the first thing I want to make is like an animation of the main character riding a horse in a beautiful landscape, and he jumps and does a backflip and like shoots an arrow and makes something blow up. And what I need to do after that to make sure I can actually finish is start simplifying that idea. Like, so what about this is exciting to me? And as you make it small enough, you can make it small enough to where it feels good to work on it and you can build on improve it. Not so big that when you start, by the time you finish, you're exhausted and you haven't been able to refine it and make it better and better, because usually the first attempt is crap. Almost every artist has this, like especially sketch artists, you'll see they do like sketches and sketches and sketches until they find something they like, and then they refine that. And as artists, we can do that as well, to like test and small things until we find that thing and improve upon that.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like we were saying earlier, set like one objective, right? So if you like Alan did this a little bit with the fire thing, right? It's like I wanted to learn how to do some fire sims. And so you set that objective and then you make that look as good as possible. And once you have that looking really good, then you're done. Versus like you were saying, if you want to make a whole universe or something, it's like you're never going to be done with that and you're never going to release it.
Yeah, and it's debilitating to keep on trying to do things you can't really finish. And that's a big struggle I have. So also, if you want to attract your ideal clients through your work, you can actually send different artists who are just a step above you and say, hey, I would love it if you would just tell me what to make. Like, act like you're a client and tell me what my next project should be and set my parameters and set my limitations. We have someone on the course, his name is Andre, who contacted someone who works in the gaming industry. And he says, I want to join the gaming industry and I would love it if you would just tell me, like, make, like, almost be like my client or be like the video game company and just tell me, we need this by this time with this limitations around this theme. And that's pretty cool. That's how we kind of started getting work. And not only do you get a connection in the industry, you get someone who's actually excited, because I think most of us would be like, oh, that's a fun little activity to like make up a project, send it over, and that person has to do it, and they send it for advice, and I tell them what to do.
Yeah, and it's
So I would say
flattering
contact
too,
a
you know?
few.
It's flattering to be like, oh, they want my opinion on something.
Richard Madar says, okay, what's my next project, please?
We can do that. We
Nice.
can do it then, maybe. That'd be a fun thing to maybe do.
Yeah, we need more context. So
Below post, what
Yeah,
is it?
tell
What
us.
is your expertise is and what industry you are hoping to get into? And then
we'll tell you what project you should do. So give us a bit of context about what your skills are, what you do, and what kind of project you might be interested in doing, and we'll make up a project for you to do. And then you can, then from there, maybe you can reach out to us. But also research who you reach out to, Richard. I would say find someone, if it's not us, I mean, I'm happy to do it, but if it's not us, research someone, say why you love their work and why you're reaching out to them, because you want to be like them, or you want to grow in the way they're growing. And that's flattering. That's like, oh, wow, this person is inspired by me and wants to grow and be a little bit more like me, not copy me, not be me, but more like me. And that's encouraging.
yeah, this takes us
But
back
I
to
like your bravery in just asking in the
Yes, I
chat.
appreciate that. I wish more. I know a lot of people like us will say stuff like this, and then someone will instantly do that in the chat, and they'll just laugh it off. And I'm like, that's not cool. Like you just said to do the thing, right? Like other thing, like I'll say all the time, it's like reach out to someone and say you'll work for free instead of going to college or whatever. And then like people do that, and people are like, well, not for me, you know? It's like, but one of the things that this reminds me of is back to the dating advice thing. Is there was a Twitch streamer.
Or dating advice.
Yes. No, but it's really good. There's a Twitch streamer, and she was writing how people message her all the time and be like, hey, I like you. Let's go on a date or whatever, right? And it's like, she doesn't respond to them, but she has responded to some. And the reason why she responds is because they give a reason. It's like, give some context. I guess that goes back to you earlier, Alan, wanting context for our anonymous tips. But just give some context to what you're saying. Just be like, hey, I like you because of these few specific reasons, and try to make them not like the most obvious, boring things, but the things that are going to be like, oh, that's actually really unique. That's why I like going in and being like, if you just go and tell a girl like, oh, I like your eyes or whatever, it's like, okay, that's everybody's line. But if you can get a little bit more specific, it's something unique that you know, it's like, oh, dude, like you have a great laugh. It's like, that's weird. But if you get into that and then give a reason why you're a good option, right? I'm hoping to learn this. I think I could provide this value in the long run. You know, blah blah blah. Like talk about yourself a little bit, talk about them a little bit. So that way, it's not, you know, think about it as real life. Like you have to look at online as though it was reality. And so it's like if you just walked up to someone who never met you before and be like, "Can you give me a project?" I'd be like, "Whoa, dude, who are you? First off, like, what's your name?" Like, you know, so it's like, "Hey, I'm so and so, such and such," you know, and I've been following your work for a long time. I kind of feel like I know you because I've been following you. I know that's a little creepy, but here's some stuff about me. I grew up here and. Not super long, not your life story, and then be like, here's why I want this, and what do you think? You know, is there something we can do together? So that's what I would recommend.
Oh no. Now, Richard, you already put yourself out there. Now you have to do it.
No, yeah, sorry,
I'm gonna
Richard.
give you a project, and you have to do it now. You have to grow as an artist.
Yep.
It's too late.
Yeah, you don't get off the hook that easy.
All right.
Richard does not apply. I'll accept. Architectural visualization. The middle class market.
Okay.
I work in Blender and Substance. All right, we'll see. We'll see if Richard grows some cojones, then we'll have Richard do it. But if not, then we'll talk to Tim at the end. But yeah, we probably can't do this for everybody. But we'll start with one because we got a lot of portfolios to get through.
All right, cool. All right, let's go through. Do you feel like we answered this question properly, Alec?
Let's see. How do I choose an expert? I think we did pretty good. I don't want to get too long. I think people will forget if we keep going over like stuff, and I'm long-winded.
Right,
so
no, let's move on. How do you structure your portfolio? I would like to start answering this one, and I'm gonna bring something up from the course. Wow, that jumped ahead real quick.
Broke it.
All right, so
Technical difficulties.
this is from the CG Career Booster course, and instead of just saying it, I thought it's better for me to show you something from the course that addresses this exactly. So you can screen capture this, write it down.
You're literally getting this part of this course for free right now. Every time he does this, it's like, okay, cool. No one's gonna buy it. Just gonna give it all away.
It's cool. So, I got thrown off.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm distracting you.
No worries. Get off. Leave me alone. All right, headliner. This is how you can structure your website or portfolio. Just very fundamental and natural ways that build trust and help your clients reach out to you. So these are kind of like the safe areas, the fundamentals. You know how there's art fundamentals of composition and color, that if you work within that space, you have so many possibilities, but you'll be safe. You'll create something that's beautiful. With portfolios, these are kind of those fundamentals. So one thing is a headliner. So something that immediately introduces what you do and who you do it for, or what the problem is you solve. So in Alec's case, he has his work, and as we scroll down, we help video games and startups secure their place in the market with stunning visuals by closing the gap between clients and creators. So that immediately filters out who this is for. For me, it's me and my wife. We are married freelancers that share a passion for animation design and storytelling. So after that, you can have a clear next step that you want your visitors to take. So this happens often. You end up on a beautiful portfolio, but you don't know what the portfolio wants you to do. So CG Boost has a great example. Let me bring that up real quick. Is look at this big red button here. Get started for free. And here as well. It's a clear next step. And it also has the introduction, as we said before. So in your case, it can be reach out to me, connect with me, book me for a project, something that you want the people visiting to do. After that is your solution is the most front and center thing. So for Alec, again, this is the solution. This is what we do at Royals and Rogues. For me, it's you scroll down a little bit. Here's our work. Here's our reel in the center. Here's a recent scene. Here's the Emmys, the fire project. Alec was talking about those things. So after that, after the solution is social proof. So the way we usually do things is first we need an introduction. Yes, that's interesting to me. The solution. Yes, I'm even more interested in that. But usually our next question is, what do other people think about this? We do this when buying products. What are the reviews? So you can include, Alec has, if I scroll down, this is all about the solution, just so you guys know. There's the social proof. Counterplay Games, Intel, Zora, Disney, Ubisoft. This creates proof that it's like, okay, if these companies trust Royals and Rogues, I can trust them too.
Right. And if you go farther into our work and people are still unsure, there's quotes, we have testimonials. I did a whole video interview with one of our clients where they just, thankfully praise us mostly the whole time, but they talk about the difference between us and others.
Here I can show you real quick. Yeah, it's just a review from the client. So social proof. After that, did you want to say something more?
No, that's pretty much it. Like it's a tip, but don't be afraid to reach out and put some of those in your portfolio, or in your projects. It's like such and such from wherever. And if you look, this happens all the time. Right, a movie will come out, and as soon as it gets reviews, it'll do a recut of their trailer with all their reviews to give you that social proof. And they're just taking like words completely out of context of like Rolling Stones, amazing, and it really is like it's amazing that this film even got made or something like that. But like they'll just take amazing and put like Rolling Stone says amazing, like the film you have to see, and it'll be like New York Times, right, or whatever. And like they'll do that, and or like whenever a game wins a bunch of awards at a games like convention or whatever, you'll see the same thing, like the 5 out of 5.
Yeah, over 400 awards.
Yes.
And that creates social proof. That makes it kind of like, okay.
Right. Again, you're trying to, the same thing like when you buy a product, you want to be assured that it's a good return on your investment, that this money I'm spending and it's not going to waste. And the same thing when someone's going to hire you, they're looking and going like, how am I sure? And like one of the ways is we look at other humans. We go like, okay, what happened to them? Did they succeed?
Mm-hmm. So Tim Holmes, sorry for interrupting.
Okay.
Tim Holmes asks, what if you don't have any former clients, etc.? So that's a great question.
You
Something you
can
can
make
do
some
is
up.
if you
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
no. I've heard there's different ways. Some people, I've heard that they put a picture of their dog and be like, my owner is amazing. And it's funny and it actually creates a little bit of personality. So you can do silly stuff like that. I don't know if it works.
Depends on
I,
if you're Alan would probably hire you. If you're me, I would be like, get out of my face.
really? I would like it. I would like it. So it depends on the type of client maybe you're trying to reach. But another one you can do is if you have someone who's mentoring you, you can ask for a review. And if you don't have any, it's not absolutely fundamental. You probably can get hired based on your work and ask your first client for a review.
Yeah.
So it's possible for sure.
I mean, there's a reason why the social proof is like what, the third one down here?
Yeah.
It's not the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Like people do buy off of non-social proof. Social proof is just another part of the stack of reasons that people to assure them that it's a good investment.
You can social proof yourself by how you communicate with your client as well. So yeah, that's another way you can do that through how just that first, like we said last time, you can ask for a meeting and in that meeting show a lot of interest in them. And that's creating that social proof. They're like, okay, this person's legitimate.
Yeah. Arthur
says
he doesn't have a dog, so he's screwed. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, cats might work.
I do have a friend that uses his cats. He's an editor. He's actually one of the most popular editors for indie games. He does all the indie game trailers, and he actually edited the Half-Life Alyx trailer. And he has his cats all over his website. I look at it and I'm like, this is the least professional thing ever. But game developers are quirky, and the indie games in particular, and it works really well for them. So
yeah. Step one, as Tushar Ganesh says, you need to adopt a dog if you want to work in the creative industry.
Pretty much.
Yeah. All right. Let's not get too derailed. Last thing, the process of working with you. So this isn't absolutely necessary, but it helps a lot if you give the clear steps of what it's like to hire you. What steps? If you're a freelancer, it's like, this is how I work. First, I have this actually on my own portfolio.
Yeah, that's our whole homepage as well.
Yeah. If you go work with us, I say the steps. And the cool thing about this, as people read and understand the steps, they can picture themselves doing it. And if they picture themselves doing it, they're more likely to do it.
I hear there's some bad landlords that don't like dogs, and then somebody says a dog rental for the creative industry. That might be a thing. Like if you do, they have the cat cafes. If you did like, hang with a dog for a day as like a therapy or as a a mental like relaxing thing. It's like, hey, get a coffee and a dog for a day and relax or whatever. So it might not be a bad idea.
Yeah. So it's good to see everyone having fun in the chat for sure.
This is what people come here for, Alan. They want to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. No one wants to grow. They just want to have fun.
No, this is why they're here.
No, you guys want to grow. That's why you're here. All right. So I have one last quote as we move on to the Q&A. I see already some questions and we have some portfolios to review. So we got lots to cover. Instead of making work you think most people will like, make work a few people will love. And this is from the Game Maker's Toolkit on YouTube. And it's great advice. And I just think that applies to us as artists. We tend to think, hopefully I get lots of likes and lots of people like this. But if you understand your client and you make something that they will love, they will hire you. And it's not about having huge numbers. It's about having enough people that love what you do and that you make their life better through what you do.
Marty Neumeier calls us 1,000 true fans. And actually, this was originally, I think, coined by Wired magazine, whoever the editor of Wired is. It's hard to get the attribution chain correct. But anyway, 1,000 true fans is this theory that what they realized is if you have 1,000 people that will buy everything or anything you do, that's enough to pretty much make a living, right? If you think about it, 1,000 times 10 is 10,000. 1,000 times 100 is 100,000. So if you get paid $100 from 1,000 people a year, you're making $100,000 a year, right? So if you can find 1,000 true fans, that's great. As a business, you can change that around a little bit. You just need like 20 or 30 true fans that will hire you for all their projects. right? Not even. You can even do 10 or 3, depending how big they are. You just have to change the ratio. Instead of $100
Yeah.
from 1,000 people, it's $10,000 from 10 people. And that's
Yeah.
it. That's all you need. So that this is super important, that a few like deep relationships or a few projects that really are going to be right on the money is far better than having 100 little projects that don't get you any work. I can't tell you how many, we talked about this yesterday, how many Instagram portfolios I know of artists that are fantastic, that put out work every single day. The people, not necessarily people clones, but they're like people in the fact that they're just like every single day, and they're looking for work. I see posts from them being like, "Hey, anyone hiring?" It's like, you put out so much free work. How are you not getting hired? And it's just because it's all stuff that's not really valuable to clients. It's a bunch of random sims of people, of bodies falling into holes and stuff. Like, you've all seen this on Instagram. And nobody, I'm not gonna. What type of project am I ever gonna need like 20,000 models of Shrek falling through a hole? Like, I don't know what I'm gonna hire you for with that. So you see this all the time where artists are producing tons of work, and they get lots of likes and they have hundreds of thousands of followers and they just can't get hired. So yeah, this is very true. Make something that few people are going to love.
Yeah. In my experience, so if you guys look up our social medias, we don't have that much following.
No.
But at the same time, I got to work on the Emmys. Alec has worked with Disney. And sometimes it's a little shocking, right? It's like, wait, what? How does that happen? And it's because we live by this. We are focusing on helping our ideal clients. Right. And we want to grow for sure. It's not like I reject people on social media or all those things. As Tarbik says, yeah, he said, as we said yesterday, 20% of your client will generate 80% of your income. Right. And that's totally true. This is true for me with the course, is that we're giving value to lots and lots of people, and it will be few people that really will benefit from this course that I'm really interested in. And the guys today who are here right now, all of you guys, I'm interested. There's not a million of you watching right now, but I'm interested in every one of you growing and learning and making your lives better.
Right.
So that's what this is about.
Am I allowed to plug here? Is that allowed?
Plug what? Like Rose?
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I was like, but I'm not like looking to not grow social media.
But it's not. We're not chasing numbers for sure.
YouTube, Rose and Rogues.
All right.
Teach you how to do stuff.
Awesome. All right. So thank you guys for making it this far. We're going to move into the Q&A, but before we do, just want to quickly say thank you. Like, as a thank you for being part of this webinar. We did this yesterday as well, that if you add the coupon code live session, if you want to buy the CG Career Booster course, it's linked in the video description, you get 25% off, and it also until November 10th. So if you're interested in that, it's my way of saying thank you for joining, and would love to see you in the course. And if not, no problem, because we're going to keep on going here.
Okay, Alan's not pushing this course very hard, but he's put a whole year's worth of work into it. Okay, he can't say this, but I can. It's a year's worth of work of like these sessions. I guest star on some of it, but mostly it's just solid advice. We saw a little bit of it today. It's perfect. It's what you need to grow as an artist. So rather than tuning into these these 3 ones, and then if we do more in the future, all those, you can get it all at once, and it's going to walk you through each of these steps and like 20 more. It's really good stuff.
What I will say about the course is that it is focused on getting you a very specific result, which is to find your ideal clients that pay you well, and that we want you to be free as you're freelancing. We want you to live well off your passion. And how do you do that specifically and repeatedly get great clients and work that pay you well? So that's my push for the course. But let's move on to the Q&A. Again, like yesterday, I want you to ask questions thinking about right now in this moment. What is the most important thing you can ask that will have the most positive impact on your career? So we already have some questions.
Yeah, I saw some earlier.
If you want, Alec, you could address here. Let me bring this up. I'm going to start opening portfolios for us to look in that have been sent in.
Okay. And then you want me to go through the questions while you do that?
Yes.
Okay.
You could start answering your questions.
Let's see. Someone wants to know if the discount is also student. We already answered that.
Let me Sorry, I need the portfolios. I think are over here.
No worries.
Yeah, let me. There we go.
All right, so it says, after years of mainly industrial mechanic visualizations, many also under NDAs, how should I best approach a renewed portfolio? Do I do some mock-ups or derivatives of the work done before? So I think the quickest way to get a portfolio up and going is to simply go through that work, change it enough that it's no longer breaking the NDA, and show some of that. Like, you can replace models, I'm sure, with other models, right? If it's like a copyrighted part or something like that, you can definitely do that. I would definitely say build on your old work. Like, you want to show what you can do, but obviously you don't want to break NDA. The other thing you can do is reach out to the people. Sometimes they don't get back to you, and it's frustrating. I totally get it. And then sometimes they do, and just say like, hey, can I show some of this? Can I show some of that? The other thing to know in the future is you can make a contract, and Alan goes over this in the course, but something I have for all of our clients is we have a clause in our contract that says we get to show this work for the purpose of getting more work, and not in any. We're not allowed to use it to compete, right? For your clients, but I need to get more work, and if you're gonna not let me show it, you're gonna have to pay me a lot more, because otherwise I can't get more work off of this project. So I think you can twist it, you can change it enough, that it's different. And depending on the project, sometimes it's really easy to do and sometimes it's really hard to do. But I'd recommend doing that. And then, like I said, in the future, trying to keep your rights to show your work.
Yeah, good advice. Thanks for that. So I have a portfolio here. What we could probably do is one portfolio, one question.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think that's a good way to do it.
We're going through everything. So we had a lot of submissions, I think around 30 something, which is a lot of portfolios to go through. So we'll try and make it as valuable as possible and get through as many as possible in the time we have left.
All right. And Alan said that he's going to be a nice guy, but I'm going to be the bad cop.
Yeah, I'm going to be the nicer
to Alan's
one.
Good cop.
I'm going to be focusing on making you feel good and thinking about your next step. And Alec is going to slap you in the face and wake you up so you're motivated to.
Well, I'm just going to tell you what I would do, because I go through ArtStation all the time and other portfolios looking for work, and I'll click on something and I'll just instantly click right off. So, I mean, it sucks, but that's reality of how people are and how other people hiring you are going to be. Is they're going to look at something and they're going to make a gut decision very quickly. So
yeah. All right. So let's start with the first one that came from what's this? Amperi Duncan Edgar. So let's bring that in. All right. First thing to say is this portfolio's early. This I imagine. Amperi, you're new to 3D, and that's fine. So I'm not going to address it from the professional perspective because it's not there yet. But I will address it from the perspective of, first of all, the first thing you want to start doing is thinking about what skill you want to start developing. I see you're having fun. You're doing different things, a mushroom house, something, toothpaste, bottle, different kinds of things, a face. So it's good that you're testing and having fun and being creative in all these things. It's still early, so you're still learning 3D. So I would say keep on learning, keep on experimenting, but keep on growing. Think about, what do I want to get better at as I keep on growing? And if you want to make it professionally, eventually, like we say, start choosing which problem you're going to solve for 3D. Anything from you, Alec, you would like to say?
Yeah, someone was just asking when the videos are going to be out. So I was just going to respond in chat, but I'll say it on here. We're going to release all the videos cut together after this is done as sort of like a mini course. It'll be completely free. You guys can access it whenever you want. But we're not having them be live on the CG Boost channel, because that's channels for something specific, right? There's a lot of tutorials and stuff, and this is a little bit of a different format. So these will be released after as a learning a tool for you guys to have for free. So we'll send out an email to everybody that's currently in the email chain.
Yeah, and I think through today's email, you had access to the previous one. And in the first email, we said there's 3 links. So meanwhile, they're on YouTube. They'll be unlisted, but if you have a link, you can have access.
Yeah, so if you go back to your email and click on the one that was inviting you, it'll still show the stream. It'll just be not listed.
Yeah.
I think what Alan said is pretty much it. I'm just looking for one specific thing that I would like to see you really improve in. So right now it looks like you're taking a lot of um, quick projects you're just trying to get out to like show stuff. Like, there's one here that even just shows like the user interface. Take your time to finish one project and get it to a point where you're really happy with it. I would say the closest one right now is this bottle, believe it or not, or
This one?
maybe the mushroom house. But let's see. Yeah, it's getting there. So I would take your time and really work to make something as good as possible. Spend some time. This is for a challenge, so obviously there's a deadline and you're trying to get out quickly. But feel free to go back and revisit something and really make it exactly what you had hoped it would be, or as close as possible. Don't get trapped in perfectionism where you never share anything and therefore you don't improve. But I would say
Yeah.
just each of these things need a little more focus, a little more time, and I would like to probably see less work but better than I would like to see more work but in a whole bunch of other
Yeah.
low
And
quality.
something very important to say is I would spend half of your time studying the art fundamentals.
Yes.
And you'll start, even if your skills in 3D aren't quite there yet, you'll start making decisions that all of a sudden the composition, the color, and so many things will have a specialness to it. So I can tell that there's still a bit of a lack of the art fundamentals. You're getting good at the software, but I would encourage you to study art fundamentals. There's lots of free content out there about color and composition, and that will already make you stand out much more. All right. So let's go to the chat, and then after the chat we'll do a portfolio. All right, Sunagare asked 2 questions, so we'll do that one after. Okay.
So somebody made a comment that said, I'm the only one embarrassed for sending stuff in. And I don't want anyone to be embarrassed. I'm going to be harsh, but we're all in different places in a journey. And so, being embarrassed that if you're climbing a mountain and you just started and someone else is halfway up, there's no need to be embarrassed that you're not up yet. It's like they started before you and they had different resources and different teachers. And, the goal is just to keep climbing. You'll get there eventually, no matter when you start. So don't be looking up at other people. And if you're higher up, don't be looking down like, oh, they're so much farther below me. It's like, yeah, well, you were there just a short while ago, panting and barely getting by. So, this isn't a place to be ashamed or be, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a place to know you're learning and just figure out. And sometimes it's helpful. You don't know where you're at on the mountain and being told, hey, you're still starting, but that's okay. Just keep working your way up. Sometimes it's discouraging to hear you're not as far as you had hoped, but that's fine. Now you know, and you need to know what to do next. So
the phrase I like to repeat to myself so often, and it's something you have to do daily, as we said yesterday, is your value is not in your work. What's on your portfolio does not represent who you are as a person. It shows where you are in your journey. It shows your current skills and how well you can click a mouse and those kind of things, but it doesn't say who you are as a person. It doesn't mean you're less of a human being, less worthy of love, of approval, of good things in life. So take your time. It's funny, the ones who make the more mistakes are usually the ones who grow. So if you're learning a new language, the more willing you are to make a fool of yourself in the new language and just make mistakes and have people correct you, the faster you grow. And
yeah, Alan knows this well because he speaks way more languages than me.
yeah, I speak Spanish, English, and Catalan. I moved to Spain quite young, and I'm quite shy. But it's just get that a little bit out your comfort zone, a little bit out. You don't have to send it to us, your portfolio. Send it to a friend. Just a little uncomfortable, and you'll start making progress. All right, Kaleidoscope asks, as a self-taught 3D character artist for a year, how should I develop a comprehensive portfolio to find an entry-level job in the gaming industry? All right, so I know 3D character arts is quite competitive, and the reason for this is because characters are such an important fundamental part of games. So you could start hopefully making background characters maybe your ultimate goal is to be a full character artist, but you start with something that the game industry needs right now. So you learn that first, you get your foot in just a little bit, and then you continue developing, well, my voice cracked, your character art. And that's how I would get that kind of entry level job. I know someone who came in as just a beta tester for a game industry in Barcelona for a gaming company. And then he continued developing his skills. And when the time was right, he showed them their portfolio.
Yeah, I think that's definitely good advice. I think learning what it is that they're looking for in a character artist. Are they looking for, you know, somebody that is going to be building models, like build them such a way that can be rigged easily, build them and, figure out what it is that makes that's really valuable and provide that. Another thing to do is find a niche in style or in something else, right? So you say 3D character artist, but like that's still pretty vague when it comes to the whole games industry. There's games like League of Legends that are pretty stylized and want really simple character with big hands, big feet, and stuff like that. And then there's like hyper real character designs, which is like Naughty Dog and others. So figure out what your style is. You could do something. I know you said 3D, but I think there's like some 3D turn-based games like the Darksiders game, and there's a new one coming out for League of Legends actually too. It's a turn-based RPG, right? So they're going to be a lot more stylized. So figure out, do I want to do something stylized? Do I want to do something more realistic? And then double down on that. What you don't want to do is have something somewhat stylized, something almost real but not quite, so it's in the uncanny valley, something that's slightly Halo-esque. You want to figure out where it is that you're going to fit as a character designer, and then design for
and
that.
Get really good at that one thing.
Right, yes.
Really good at that. And that's what you'll be hired for.
Correct.
Yeah, like, you don't get hired if it's like, hey, I know how to make sci-fi female characters with cool weapons and dogs and cats and ogres and medieval characters, and it's like, okay, which one are you aiming for here? And does the industry want this? If the industry wants it, you get a job real quick. If there's a saturation of people doing the same thing, it's harder to find that job. Mm-hmm. As much as we'd love to get hired for exactly what we love, oftentimes we have to find that middle ground of what do I love about this, and is there that need?
Yeah, a trend that I've been seeing, and you can start looking at the next portfolio, Alan, while I do this. But the trend I've been seeing is, you see people like, and this might be, I might be looking at the exceptions, not the rule. But you have people like Ash Thorpe, people like, I can't remember the name of the artist, but he's working on the new Ghost in the Shell animated series, and they just became like, that's what they produced, right? Hey, I proved I can make this short about this thing, and here's all the concept art, here's all the work, and then you can just hire me. And it's like, studios love that because I can just look at that guy and I'm like, he already knows our IP, he already knows everything. If I just hire them, they're gonna fit right in. So
yeah, I know. I met someone at the Blender conference that did fan animations for Warhammer 40K, and then he got hired by a company to work on Warhammer 40K
right,
stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, and that happens a lot. And I recommend finding something that's not, crazy popular, where like a million people are making stuff for it, and it's like, you're not going to stand out as much. But if you find something that's not as popular that you really love, and or is something that's really big. What the nice thing about Warhammer is like they opened up their IP, so people are making games all the time. So if you just establish yourself as someone in that space and you can match the style, and know what they're looking for, you're going to be a really good pick.
Nice.
All right.
Pavel asks if the course guarantees some results, or it's mostly about motivation. Sorry, a stupid question. Not a stupid question at all. It's actually a really good question. Thank you, Pavel, for asking. The course, I can't guarantee super specific results because it depends on how much effort you put into it and if you actually do the things, because they're not all easy things to do. But we do start softer and get more harder. I tried to build it like a video game, that it starts soft, you get used to it, and the level increases as you get better at it. So it's not too overwhelming at once. And it does start with mindset and motivation and setting goals, and then it gets more and more specific. So like, how do you find clients? How do you negotiate? How do you work on projects with your clients? How do you get positive reviews? And how do you keep on cycling upwards and gaining more clients, more money, and more satisfaction in your work? So can't guarantee results. Can guarantee 30 days money back if you don't like the results you're getting.
Yeah,
I wish I could, but
I would say it's this is more like asking, does a workout routine guarantee results? The answer is if you do it, you'll get the results. Yes, if you stick with it and you're consistent and you apply the workout, right? You're lifting consistently every day. Or does a diet guarantee results? Like if you do it, but if you buying the thing isn't going to make you good, right? It's not going to suddenly change your life because you hit purchase. It's going to be following through. Now you do have some stuff set up to help people. You have calls that you do with people weekly, right, or bi-weekly.
oh, we have weekly
You have
calls.
weekly
Yeah.
calls. There's a community to help
people have
you.
specific questions.
Maybe
Yeah.
encourage you is part of the course to help out with that. So it's not like you just buy it and you're left alone. Like, oh, figure it out by yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to be walked through a lot of this stuff. If you have questions, you can get answers. But
Alec is selling the course more than I do.
well, I'm just saying it's like a work. It's like am I going to get guaranteed things? It's like, well, if you buy weights, no. But if you lift the weights every day, it's so there's that 50% on your end where you have to apply yourself. But I think if you do, I think you will get the results you're looking for.
We have, I guess, if you look at the reviews on the
There's
course
social
page,
proof.
the social proof actually that I put on the course page, you can study that as well. It is people getting results. We've had people join in and get clients already. We've had people go in with not that great portfolios, but because what they learn, they still get clients, which surprised me in a very positive way. It's like, wow, that's effective. That what you learn can even get you clients. This is actually so true. And this is good advice about portfolios. People with worse portfolios, but understand the client's problems and communicate well, can get better and more high-paying work than people with the best portfolios.
This
And
happens
that's shocking.
all the time. How many times have you looked at someone's work and been like, that's not as good as my work? How are they working for
like,
X, Y, or Z?
Marvel.
Yeah.
I've seen people at Marvel working on Iron Man and stuff. And I'm like, I could do that. How did they do that? How did they get there? So it's crazy. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So Pavel also asks, what do you think about Houdini? Is this the future of 3D? No, there's no specific tool right now that's the future of 3D. What Houdini does well, which is what you guys should do well as an artist, is they specialize in a specific problem, which I think is simulations and smoke effects and those things. And that's what they own, and that's what they're good at, and that's what they get bought for. And other software has other things. I know Cinema 4D is motion graphics. I know Blender has a great community. That's what everyone loves about Blender is the supportive community, how flexible the tool is. It's got all the big gaming companies are using it for modeling. It's got really good modeling tools. So every tool has different things. I know 3ds Max is architectural a lot. Maya, I think, is very known for animation and in the film industry.
Yep.
And also the gaming industry, I think, as well. I think it has pretty good modeling tools.
Yeah, Maya's kind of one of the standards, but it's big and kind of clunky. Cinema's the easiest one to pick up. It's most user-friendly, which is why you see all the designers going to Cinema, because it's like, oh, cool, I can just jump into this, and motion graphics designers. Houdini's great for Sims, but it's the hardest to learn. It's very, you almost need a coding background, like, kind of. It's pretty advanced. The one that we haven't mentioned here, because it's not what you use to create stuff, but if you're going to learn anything right now, I'd recommend learning Unreal. I cannot tell you how much the industry, all industries, film, gaming, live events, they're all leaning very heavily on Unreal right now. So if you want to get hired like just anywhere, just start learning Unreal and figuring out, how it works and how it thinks.
Yeah, as you continue learning Blender. Blender fan here. All right, so another portfolio from Artur Marchura.
So this is a fun reel. Or not reel. What's it called? Portfolio. Because I love portfolios like this. So you can see right away, like anyone that just takes a glance is like, okay, architectural renders is what he does.
Yeah.
But then there's other stuff in here, right? Where it's like, hey, here's this cool head I modeled. Hey, here's this cool other thing I modeled. It's kind of funny because then you're like, well, I thought I knew what I was getting with this guy, but now I'm unsure.
So it starts with a mug, a close-up of some mugs, which is pretty cool. It's a 3-second video. Not bad, pretty early. Then we got a bathroom. I see good composition. I see lots of white light, architectural. And then suddenly we got his name and a logo animation, some Easter eggs.
Okay, and this is
We got a
our
head.
this is our Arthur from the chat as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
He's here in the chat.
He said he's ready to get kick. No need to be polite.
All right. So first off, and I think Alec is going to agree with me, is what's your specialty? I think it's architecture, but all of a sudden I see this and I go, oh. So I'm like, this is great. And then it's like, oh, but he also makes things that are not bad. It's good practice, but it's not amazing. And also his name glowing, it's not the best graphic design I've seen. This is interesting. It's actually quite good. This is more gamey. This is also a falling castle. It's also interesting, but it depends on what your goal of this is. But these, especially this, and this, and this, throws me off a little bit.
Right.
If I was wanting to hire you for an architectural project, I'm not sure I would understand why this is here.
Right.
So that's
I
my
agree.
first impression.
Yeah. So I think there's some going past the sale is what I was talking about before. So if I go, the first thing I do is scroll down and I'm like, oh, this guy's stuff is great. But then there's these weird other little things in here that throw me off. And then it makes me question what you did on each of these. Because I'm like, this doesn't look like that. So now I'm not sure what was done on each. And if you go into the end of them, I think he breaks down them pretty well, which I really like the noodles one and a few others.
Okay.
The head sculptor has some.
So I can go to
They do one of the
can go
architectural
to-
ones. I think they might have some
Okay.
more of a description.
which one?
Just
one?
yeah, sure. Because I think there's some of these have some various renders on them. So here we go. It talks about blenders, cycles, NVIDIA denoiser, a bit of glow, architecture. And you can kind of look down. Okay, that's cool. And then here we go. Okay, so it looks like he has the raw render. So he probably made it himself. Probably
Yeah, this is great stuff.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. But then, like you said, you go to the face one, and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not sure what this is, right? So then that brings into question the quality of the other ones. So what I would recommend doing is cut out everything that isn't architectural design under your name rather than 3D artist. I'd put 3D, architectural modeler, texture, visualization. And then you can have an Instagram or something else where you put all of your experiments, and then as you start building up enough in one category, break that out into its own thing, right? So there's no limit on how many Instagram accounts, there's no limit on how many ArtStation accounts you can have. And I think the problem is you kind of want to just group everything in one spot. And so what I'd recommend is diversifying where you're showing what you're showing, right? So it's like, I'm going to show some of this here. I'm going to show some of that there.
It's easy up your portfolio because you think more work means more experience to show your client. And it's like, look, I can do so much cool stuff.
Right.
But
typically we
like
only
we
look at
say,
like
it's-
3.
Yeah. If I see 3 or 4 projects that are consistent, they solve the problems I care about, I'm more likely to hire you.
Right. Like a good example, not that I'm
And-
the best at this, but like on our ArtStation, we only have video game stuff because I know that tech people aren't coming to ArtStation. I know that, people looking for explainer videos aren't coming to ArtStation. So on our ArtStation, it's just video game animated artwork, 3D logos, logo animations, and so on and so forth. So, so let's break it up. I think the work's pretty solid. I would.
Yeah, it's great work.
There's a
Good job.
The coffee mug is, I think, the what's that called? Coffee maker.
Yeah, that could be taken out.
Yeah, I think it's a little weak. If it's not adding, you just need to look at me like, is this adding or taking away?
I mean, this is pretty cool. I like these.
I like the close-ups. Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe play with something to make it. There's something about it that feels a little weak. At the wide, this shot, yeah. I don't know if it's just the resolution coming through the screen because I'm watching it through Alan's screen, but
yeah. Well, again, we go back to, okay, what was the goal? What were you trying to achieve here? How were you trying to grow? If you focus on that, we stop thinking, oh, is this pretty or not?
Right,
Do I like
right.
this or
That's
not?
a good
We think,
example. You set the context.
oh,
for,
this is his goal. He for sure achieved that goal.
right.
That's cool.
Right, yeah. So if it's like, hey, I was trying to model the exact look of this thing, and the textures were an afterthought or something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think it's, or it's like sometimes. So here's a good example. I've actually done this before, where I've gone in and looked at a model and like, oh, this isn't the best, and there we go. I was limiting myself to X many polygons, and I'll go, oh, well, now that's impressive, right? So when you see that, and they're like, this file size is 2 megabytes or whatever, and you're like, wow. So that's a good example. Is if you set that context for us, it's good.
Yeah. I see this one was for a competition. So that's already something interesting, that it's like, okay, this is for a competition. I can see that now, and I see how that affects that. The thing is, I don't think in this case, it doesn't feel very architectural. So
just throw it on a personal page. Have your personal page where you show your projects, show work in progress. Yeah. You build some audience among other designers and some other people. But for doing, trying to get clients, if it's a portfolio, which in my opinion, a portfolio is not here's all my fun stuff. It's here's what I'm trying to use to get work. Then take it all out. Just only show the best stuff. Show the 5 or 6 best things, and then everything else can wait. And then you update that once you have another really big, good thing to show.
Yeah. This is another challenge as well, which is great. Yeah. It's cool. But your clients may not care about that.
Right. Or build a second one, right? That doesn't take away. Build one that's for, game dev / look dev, and then another one that's for architectural.
And you can use what you learn from this. This is not a waste of time. You can be like, oh, I can import this asset, and it makes your architectural work even more interesting if you bring in some of these unique assets, and it makes it more your own brand and yourself. So this is not a waste of time at all. But it's how do you implement this to help this stand out, which is the main thing you're focusing on.
Right.
Is he saying anything on the chat? I can't look at it right now.
Let's see. He wants to know what to keep, I think.
Okay. If your goal is to get hired by architecture, keep your best architecture stuff. And anything that isn't your absolute best, you can ask people, take out. So these Easter eggs, your name, the head, these, you can include these in some of your architectural renders. That's pretty cool. I can fit there.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would show it in context in some of the architectural renders, and then break out each of the assets that you designed yourself, and then call that out.
So you can add these to like an architectural background just to keep it within theme, and it shows versatility, but it's still close enough in theme.
So I would keep that exact post and just have the main thumbnail be it in context, right? A counter with each of these on it, or a room with these spread out throughout it.
Yeah. And if you want to be hired by your clients, have your best work at the top left, your absolute best at the top left, because that's the first they're going to look at. And in this case, I know this is good, but it's not your absolute best, which I like some of the renders of this project. This looks interesting to me. This is pretty cool. This house is really nice in terms of architectural stuff. All right. I think I'm ready to move on. There's anything else you want to add?
Someone's asking to split up into sections like he has here, right? One's ArchViz, one's challenges. Yeah, you can. Yep. The problem is when I land on your page, typically I'm landing on your homepage, right? So, it depends, on kind of how you want to do it. But again, if there's a way to present your ArchViz as the only thing, like if you're going to send something to clients, just send them ArchViz stuff. If they're an ArchViz client, they don't need to see the other stuff. You can break it up. It's not the end of the world, right? You can do anything. You can have this exactly the way it is. I'm sure you'll still get hired for stuff. But I typically would say less is more. You don't want to distract.
Cool. All right, let's bring up the chat. Let's see if we can answer a question there.
Yeah, I don't know if you can move them around. As we're looking for a chat, someone's asking if you can move them around. I think you have to I don't know. Can you just rearrange an ArtStation? Maybe you can.
I think so.
If you can, then yeah. Another option is just to move all the experimental stuff to the very back. You just want the first thing people to see. You don't have to be as specific as I'm saying, right? You can scale this up as much as you want. You can break it into sections. You can get rid of it completely. Or if you do move it to the back, most people understand that that's early work, right? It's like, okay, that's where he started and this is where he's at now. We're not stupid, people that are hiring. We understand that.
The advice I keep on hearing and I follow is to remove the old stuff.
I would just remove it. Yes. I would keep it on a personal page. On a personal page, keep all the old stuff.
Yeah. I don't see yesterday's live course in the CG Boost videos. Yeah, it's unlisted Golistan. It's in the email, and we'll send out an email again, and we'll
He's
send out
saying
the free
it's a
course.
lot of emails. Eventually, once the free course is posted, that'll be a permanent link that you can just go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a better place than ArtStation to do my portfolio? I have mine. So Tim Holmes asked that. I have mine on Adobe Portfolio. I like that quite a bit. It's simple. Behance is good. And, ArtStation is for a lot of gaming clients and VFX Game World. Behance is more design and branding and marketing. So the best place is where your clients are looking for. And in terms of building your portfolio, what I recommend, and this is also in the course, is as simple as possible, as easily to edit as possible, and it just lets you do the fundamentals that I talked about: a quick intro, social proof, add your work. Don't make it overly complicated. Try and simplify the process of updating your portfolio as easily as
Try to
you can.
walk through too. Like put yourself in the mind of, I want to hire me, and then be like, okay, I load up my page. Where do I go? And it's like, well, I click on the work, and it's like, how do I hire this person? We just finished an email blast for a client, and we sent it out, and they're like, hey, this email, and it was 20% off a certain product, and they were like, there's no link to your website on this email. And it was somebody sent us the feedback, and we're like, oh crap, like we totally messed that up. Like people are not going to sit there and go like, let me Google search this thing and then find it and then click on it and then apply my coupon code. They just want to click and go directly to the product page and get the discount. So that's something that I'm still, I still screw up now and then, but just put yourself in those shoes of someone that would be experiencing it.
All right. So let's go to another portfolio.
Okay.
This is Manu Jarvinens. So he says, you have his name, and he says, support me on Patreon. Images, animations,
Can
articles.
you click?
So
I'm curious about the
is,
Patreon. If you click on it, control click first. So it's I was gonna say, so it's a new tab, but
yeah. So he creates 3D often with C, and yeah, that's what he has.
Okay, so he's creating 3D models, and then people can use them. That's the incentive to become a Patreon member. Okay.
So awesome. If again, what problem are you solving for who? And how are you making my life better? That's what people's mindset is when they arrive to portfolios. So right now I see you're asking me something, but I don't know why yet. And to find it, it is a little bit, I have to scroll and look. It's like, okay, I still don't know what you do. Okay, I still don't know what you do. Where is it that you found that?
Right there. So if you scroll up to the top, it says like, I make up higher. Let's see. Is creating animation illustrations often with the CC0 license, which means it's free for copyright. People can use it without having to attribute. They can use it professional.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's me.
So that's where
a good example.
That's where I would start.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah, it's me. The Patreon is just a tip box, nothing professional. Yeah. Do you have a really big following? I know this is going to be like 10 seconds late, so we can keep critiquing. But if he has a big following on like Instagram or social, it's just another income stream, which I think is okay. But I might promote it in those other places more.
Yeah. On Twitter.
Okay, it's a decent amount.
And he has his Facebook.
Okay.
I like. Cool. All right. So my recommendation for sure is, first thing, what do you do? Whose problem do you solve?
Mm-hmm.
And why? Why am I on this portfolio? And what do you want me to do with it? So, wow, that's really cool work. This is really stylistic, really awesome.
Yeah.
So again, the question that we go back to is like, this is really cool. And I would more likely to hire you for a professional project on a certain kind of style straight away.
Right. The one thing I will say about this portfolio, I looked through it a little bit before the call. I really like that it's consistent in style. And so
yes,
when I look here, I'm like, awesome. If I want this style, I'm hiring this guy, right? If I want like a super D 3D, character or object, I'm going to be like, cool, you can handle it. No worries. If it's not a super D, thing, if I want a hyper real thing, I'm not going to hire him. And that's fine. It seems like this is what he wants to do.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he, by the way, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, this seems like what the artist wants.
Yeah.
And
So you can tell that he also understands a lot of art fundamentals, the
Right.
lighting, the composition, proportions. This is an experienced portfolio. It's really good. And what I would suggest, oh yeah, I remember this artwork. This is good stuff. It was on the Blender splash screen for a while there. So what I recommend is your art is really good. So what I mostly recommend is going back to, let's see if I can find my course stuff. Did I lose it?
is it not live course? One to the left. Nope. No. Yeah. Well, I think we have a delay.
All right.
Anyway, but yeah, it's focusing on the stuff about that one. You had it, I think, right? Is that not it? One more to the right.
Yeah, here it is. Thanks.
Okay.
See if I can find it. All right, here we go. Sorry for the delay. Is you have good art, fit it within these fundamentals, a one-liner, a clear step you want visitors to take. So what's your solution?
Right. And right now he does have a one-liner, which is support me on Patreon. Right. But the problem is I don't know why.
Well, that's not the one-liner. That's what to do.
Right. Okay. All right. Sorry. That's the button. Yes. That's a call to action.
But I don't know why I should do that.
Right.
I don't know if other people have done that and what they got out of it.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. And I imagine you're not struggling to find work right now. You got good work. So a quick tip would also be to set it more like a grid so I don't scroll as much. That's more personal, probably. You got animations, you got articles. Oh, wow, you have a lot of content.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be it. That would be my thing is, I think I lost it again. Here it is to fit it all within these fundamentals, and you'll start getting more of the results you're looking for. And I think what you want, number one, is Patreon. Let's see if he says it here. Yeah, it's Patreon. Nothing professional. So if what you want is Patreon, go through those steps. Who is your audience and why will they support you on Patreon? If you answer that, you're good. I have way too many tabs open.
You do.
Yeah. All right. So let's see if we can find it again. That's the old one. There we go. All right. Let's go to the chat. Or do you have something you want to add?
Yeah. If he can't see the steps, I think the steps would be to just think about like when someone lands. What's nice is the work is somewhat self-explanatory. Like you see it and you know whether it's for you or not. But then I might just make it more clear what it is that you specifically do. If it's like lighting, rendering, animation, it's like, is it everything? Is it one thing? And then when it comes to the copyright free stuff, I would probably put all that in one spot. Like I put the Patreon thing in that other section and explain that more and then build that out. It's not super detracting, I think, as a client. I'm not like, what the heck is this Patreon thing? I think it's just like, okay, that's weird. That's not for me. But just making it a little more clear. But it's a great portfolio. There's not too much to change.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting in front of the right people that want this type of work.
Yeah, in this case, I think the work itself is good enough to you're probably not having trouble getting hired. So it's more if you want better clients and more specific results in what you want to do there.
Right.
All right, so let's go to the chat. And thanks, Manu. Thanks for sending this in and joining. It's really cool stuff. Okay. Any questions that you can find, Alec, for us to answer?
I haven't seen too many questions. I think we're mostly going through the portfolios right now and kind of giving some advice. We have... if we want to kind of end on time, we have like 10 more minutes. If we want to do like 2 more or something.
All right. I'm going to bring up the next one. This is from Alexander Grismek. And first off, I can see straight away, still practicing, still learning. I see jewelry. I see some of your different interests. So first thing is keep on getting better. It's not bad. I see you're experimenting. I don't think you're ready to be hired just yet.
I mean, I
I
would
would be.
hesitate on that. There are people that need, more, um, some more simple work, right? It's like you don't have to get hired right away for something incredibly big and fancy, right?
No.
Someone needs
Yeah.
to have their logo extruded to 3D. There's things that you can do. Um, but yeah, I would. This does feel like a lot of experiments right now. So my number one thing would be to take. I think the best piece is that jewelry piece, the gold. Uh,
This one?
I'm gonna give it a second to update. I think it's a little slow. Yeah, the bracelet. Yes. As far as looking the most professional to me. Um, so I would just be giving a little more time, and then there's no description and there's no context at all. It looks like. So
Yeah.
I would give context, talk specifically about what you did, how you achieved the look. Is this based on something that you were trying to recreate in CG? So it's like if if I am someone looking to hire you to do jewelry design, I usually would either want to see a sketch that you created in real life because that's what you're going to be given. Like there's going to be a designer. You're not going to be the jewelry designer. Guarantee that. Someone else is going to design it. And then your job is either going to be recreated in 3D or to create a sketch in 3D before they send it to be made at the fabricator. So you're going to want to show that, explain how you did what you did. And then I would triple down on something like that, where you start getting a couple projects that are really fleshed out, a little more professional in the industry that you're hoping to get hired for. Which it seems like product design, which is good, because I'm seeing a lot of pretty much products. So even the
Yeah.
ones that are, there's a Coke can, there's
Yeah.
a soap dispenser. Yeah, I just
I
keep
think
going on that.
Alexander is still learning 3D and still just having fun creating simple objects
Right.
and doing that. So what you could do is for your next project, I would pick something exciting that you want to model and try and get the lighting just right and just refine it over and over and over and keep on getting better at it, learn the fundamentals and see what's the best next little small project like you're doing that you can do that will stand out and keep on growing from there. That would be my advice.
Yeah, I think so. Um,
Awesome.
and then once you have that right, then you follow the other steps that we've talked about, where it's like making it clear, making it the path to hiring you, explaining what it is you do. But yeah, I would agree with Alan. I'd say for now, mostly, just keep going. You're starting your journey, and it's a cool place. And I see a lot of promise, right? I think the soap dispenser looks pretty good, and they just need the finishing touches to really make them come together. The can looks good, but it's just a can, right? And there's no text. There's nothing telling me anything about anything. So like,
What was your goal?
yeah,
All
add
that
three
kind
or
of
four
stuff.
more things to it. Put some cool labels on it. Do whatever you want and start flushing
Yeah.
these out. And that's a cool thing. Also, you can revisit these early ones and you kind of already have a great base to start on. And then as you learn new techniques, like some composition or some lighting or something like that, apply them and then up-res them and then replace them in your portfolio.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we have a
All
question.
right. It's
Oh,
okay.
if you
I'll
want to
I'll
start
bring up
loading
the
that up,
question.
so the question is, what amount of work do recruiters need to see for hiring an artist? And I think the mistake that most of us make is thinking that it needs to be a lot of work. Like the more work, the more I show that I've been, doing this forever and it's so great. The answer is not a lot. I would say 3 to 10 really good pieces are enough. If you don't have 10, then just show 3. Like if you have one, show one. If you have one really good piece, show one really good piece and then nothing else, rather than showing a really good piece and like 5 crappy pieces. Because what's going to happen is my opinion of you is going to start thinking, well, mostly he does not great work with this one really good work. And you can do this all the time. I've done this
I
before.
saw
What's up?
I saw a demo reel. Sorry for
No, it's
interrupting. I
fine.
saw a demo reel just to add to that it was this first animation of a creature like breaking through the ground and coming out, and it was awesome. And I was like, this guy is a pro. After that, he showed 5 to 10 more animations that made me go, oh, this guy's a noob.
Mm-hmm.
He's new to this. He's not a pro.
Right.
If he would have kept just that one animation, it was on Instagram or something like that. If he would have kept that one animation, that would have been my first impression and just stayed there like this guy's a pro. So it's funny how that happens when you show lesser or not as great work.
Right. So yeah, and that's a good example because what happens in my mind whenever I see that happen is you show something really awesome and I'm like, wow, this guy's great. And then as I go further and it's not so great, that first thing gets called into doubt. I go, oh, I bet he didn't do this whole thing. I bet he was or she was a small part of this larger project, and so they can't actually handle this if I threw it at them, right? They were a rigger or an animator, or they bought a preset and then they just, tweaked it and did some lighting or something as an experiment, and that's what I'm seeing. So that's the danger when you show too much work, is it starts detracting and it brings into doubt the validity of the good stuff that you've done. So it's almost like if you could curate your reviews, right? You see like one really good review of something, you're like, oh, that's a good review. And you see like 10 bad reviews, you're like, oh, I don't know. And all of a sudden, our minds just automatically weigh stuff that way. And it's the same thing with your quality of your work. If you see one thing that looks really good and a bunch of things that look so not so good, you start wondering if that one thing that was good was really yours. Like if I went to a restaurant, right, and one piece of food is like perfectly presented and the rest of it's really crappy, I'm like, oh, they probably pre-bought that. That dessert was pre-purchased from another place and they're just putting it on my plate because everything else here looks like junk. So that must not be them. So.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good way to end that. All right. I have William Platt. I'm going to click this link because I think it's a bit more set up that way.
Mm-hmm.
William Platt. He's a student. That's good context already. So that lets me know where he's at, where he's a student. You could have an about page just talking about what you're trying to achieve with your studies and what kind of jobs you're possibly looking for.
I would also put in your right underneath your name, student, and then to be honest, I don't even think you need to say student, but I would say specifically what you're looking to be hired for, like whatever it is you want your title to be. Just title yourself. You don't need to wait. You don't have to wait for some business to give you a title to take a title. Just take it, and then I'll be very clear when I look at your work if that's true or not.
Yeah. Good tip. All right, so we got some nature, a window, water simulation, eye material. So we can tell you're experimenting, you're learning, you're testing things. It's good. It's good quality. Another water simulation. If you have this two of the same, you could just keep the best one, honestly.
Yep.
And again, you can show your journey somewhere else, but as your first impression, you could keep that. My FERT. All right, so spell check. First realistic portrait. Spell check. You'll be surprised.
I hate it, dude. It's my bane of my existence.
People don't get hired because of stuff like that. So
it's so dumb.
Spell check.
It's true though.
It shows attention.
It's so true.
Show attention to detail. I understand. I make mistakes all the time. We all do. But spell check.
Yeah.
Breakfast, an animation, a wall environment. That's pretty cool. I like that. That almost feels like a picture right there. That's good stuff. A lighter. So you're learning well. You're doing good stuff. Shoes. And here I'm starting to see, I think, a bit of what you actually want to do. You got a cyberpunk gun, and this stands out to me because it provides me with more context.
Yeah.
So I immediately want to click this one.
So it's also, this is a good tip for a lot of people. This feels like a more professional finished project because of the details, right? It has the little text at the bottom, a gun that a created for Cyberpunk Challenge. Okay. So again, just get some spell check in there. But then also, if you scroll down, one of the things that's really cool about this is it should have the finished icon, right? You should have the thumbnail somewhere. Oh, no, he doesn't. Nope. The thumbnail's different. Okay. Well, that's still really cool. Having the text on the bottom, having this happens to me all the time. I'll be designing like a poster, or I'll have a designer making a poster for a client, and then we'll add like the little flavor text at the bottom, right? The little like attribution, the copyright. Suddenly it feels like a professional piece because we've just been trained that professional pieces have those little details. You add like the little Nike logo in the corner and something else, and then suddenly...
You should include that as well.
The reference. Yeah, just label it clearly, reference. If it's not made by you, then clearly label it's not made by you. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, that's definitely something to do is add those little touches.
Just so you see, out of all these portfolios, none of them are providing the content, the context, and the journey. So just by doing that, you're already growing a lot. And it's not that much work. It's writing a bit of text, showing a bit of your progress, what you were trying to achieve. It's not more 3D work, and it goes a long way in standing out. Not to make you feel bad if you haven't, but it just shows that you can make small adjustments that have big impact on the results you get from your work.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you say you're a student, you're still learning. I think it's really promising work for a student. I think you have no problem getting some work as soon as you come out. ACE's workflow, that's great to see that you've been playing with some of that stuff. Those specifics,
good, so that gives us context.
Right, those specifics are great. So, I would go a little bit more deeper into that, like why you used ACEs, how it turned out, what's the benefit. Because there's times where I have a project that I need specific things like that, right? I'm doing like an HDR project, and being able to find someone where I ask, like, have you done HDR work before? And they're like, no. It's like, that means it's going to be a learning curve that we have to figure out, and I would have to figure out how to preview that work and all this other stuff. So,
and by adding these kind of things, it's also trigger words or words in my head that I know, oh, if I ever need to hire someone with ACEs, I'm like, oh yeah, there's that one guy.
That's another thing. I'll search for stuff like that. So I'll go to the search in ArtStation or in Behance, and I'll search for something specific, like, ACEs, whatever, or whatever else it is, or
so something like that.
Yeah. So that's not popping up right now. But if you find some other stuff.
Oh. So 3D. So this someone might do that. So they might go portfolio. So this is actually hard to find.
Right. But that's a good thing. It means if you do this, then you're probably more likely to stand out.
Yeah.
And this is where eventually articles and stuff will help you. Yeah, if you wrote your own articles, this would help out eventually. But
yeah,
I'm really surprised.
So not the best example.
In ArtStation,
what would be a good example?
So what I'll do is I'll do like 3D real time book is something that I've done. Right, that's the one I keep bringing up because it's just top of the mind. Right there. Whoa, what is going on with the search? Do you have it search for artworks?
Yeah.
Subject matter, add filter.
That is very little.
Real
book. No, I don't know.
No, I've done this before and found stuff for sure.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, let's go back. Good stuff, by the way. It feels. I love your attention to detail, the texturing, all of that. So overall, I can tell you're learning. It'd be cool to see eventually what you want to start specializing in on your portfolio. All right. Let's see who's next. Or let's check the chat, actually. Silver asks, is it okay to use work which was created with the help of tutorials? For example, the launch pad from CG Boost, in my case. Oh, my dog's there. And I make my own car, added on animations, but you can still see from where I got the idea.
So I have pretty strong feelings about this because...
all right, that's like Alec's strong feelings come out first.
I've hired a lot of people, and you get a lot of portfolios, or especially demo reels, when it comes to 3D work, which is like, here's every Andrew Kramer tutorial, or here's every tutorial from whatever, and you can instantly see it, right? So the biggest thing is showing that you can take the concept of a tutorial and apply it to something else, because we all use tutorials. We all have to learn how to do stuff on projects, but show that you can. So don't just, if you're following a tutorial, don't just follow it exactly and then send it out. So like Andrew Kramer has like a water window, right, effect, and some people will literally take, and he gives away the project files, right? So people just take Andrew Kramer's project files, render the project files out, and then be like, here you go, here's about my portfolio. And you're like, all you did is take project files and then hit render, right, with minor tweaks. I need to show that you can apply that to something else. So take, the Andrew Kramer water droplet tutorial, and then put a new background behind it. Change the color of the window. Change the way the droplets fall. Make them spell out a title or something like that. You can do that. I understand what that is, and we don't be fooled. We all know that you're using tutorials. It's kind of obvious, but the more you can change it and the more you can use it in context, once again, like Alan's been saying, the better results it's going to give you. But
Yeah.
what you should avoid
And
doing
watch.
is just showing the raw project file, this raw tutorial to me. I'm going to know where you got it.
Something I've done is I've done different tutorials and just mashed them all together. So I'm like, oh, I grabbed this thing from this tutorial I like. I grabbed this thing, mash it all together and make it my own. So you can do that as well.
Yeah.
And totally agree. Totally agree. Patricio says, I have apples in my portfolio. That's a tutorial from Zach. And that's fine. That's fine. Just, yeah, change the composition, change it up, mix different tutorials, and it'll make it your own work. Add your own passion into it. No, but the more you separate it and make your own, the better, for sure. And keep on growing and doing that. It's not the end of the world if you use a tutorial, but you definitely can.
And
it also depends on your client. Done it? Yeah, nice. Those are those,
yes,
right?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not a huge CG artist myself, but I keep abreast of what's going on. I need to know who to hire. I need to know where you are. And so I'm going to be seeing these things, and I'm going to be seeing them. If I see the same exact work in two portfolios, it's like that to me is like, oh, that's a tutorial. And I just like recognize that after I see the same like thing. I'm like, okay, I know that's a tutorial from someplace.
Yeah. So, it also depends on your client. There might be clients that don't, like some clients, maybe architecture firms or different places, that they don't look up every tutorial, and it's not that important. If your clients are more like Alec and I that are in the industry, be aware of that.
Like I said, even if they're not, if they see 2 or 3 that are the same, it's going to trigger stuff. And a lot of these really popular tutorials that are really cool, some of the best ones, are going to be, it's going to trigger that. They're going to be like, okay, who's stealing from who? It's like as a teacher, you get 2 of the exact same sentences written in an answer on a project. You're like, something's not right here. Somebody's copying somebody,
Yeah. So true Russian person, Pearson. Is an Among Us map I made in 3D acceptable? Again, it depends on who your client is. The more you know your client, the more you understand if it's acceptable to them. Of course, in general, it's acceptable. It will get lots of shares. It might get a few likes because that's what everyone's playing right now. So it all depends. And this is what I want you guys to start thinking. What is the result you want specifically? How much do you want to get paid? When do you want to get hired? And how do you reach those results? So if you want to just put our work out there that gets shared a lot, an Among Us map is a good place right now. It's going to get it's one of those things that's for right now, that if you would have posted this a year ago, no one cares. Maybe if you post this a year from now, no one cares, because it's kind of viral up and down. It depends how well you do it. But again, think about the results you're looking for. What do you want this project to do for you? So is it acceptable? Sure. Depends on what context.
Yeah, I agree with that. A great way to do this, and there's a lot of people that have done this, and I actually think they're really good portfolio pieces, is if I don't know what you made it in and what the goal is, but if you're looking to become, like, let's say, an Unreal map dev, that's a great one to do. You take old school renders, take old school maps. Like I said, a lot of times the best ideas are just combining 2 different things. So it's like, let me take this thing that used to be old and update it in the new engine and show off my lighting and skills. There's a lot of Unreal environments that are amazing that people get hired from showing, that are like, hey, I took a hallway, made a sci-fi hallway from this, and you just show your capabilities. And you can use Among Us as a motivating factor and a way to get it some hype. That's completely fine. But just know, like Alan was saying, what it's for, and that, like, I'm not going to hire you just because it's Among Us. I'm going to hire you because it's really good, and you've shown that you can take and apply your environment design skills to a unique idea.
Yeah. So, hit the mic there. Sorry about that. True Russian person says, I want to get into the animation and game industry course. So you want to get into a course in a university in Darmstadt. So again, what is that university looking for? You could find someone who's in the university, ask them what they got in with. You could ask anyone in the university who decides, and say, what are you guys looking for? Check what the student results are. So which students does the university highlight? and seek to make stuff that's sort of like that and your own.
Yep. I
And
agree 100%.
the university may not care at all about if it's Among Us or not. They may be caring, what does the university care about? They might be caring about your potential in a specific area. So work on that area. That would be my recommendation. OJ Fidelino says Manu's Fishy Cat. So that's the artwork, the portfolio we were looking at before, Alec.
Mm-hmm.
It is included in the official Blender render benchmark set. Wouldn't it be good for Manu's portfolio ArtStation to highlight it?
I mean, you had to ask Mano.
Depends.
Ask him how often people have hired him because it's there. The problem is with some of that stuff, it's really cool to get featured, but the only people looking at it are other artists, right? So you can call out like, hey, as featured, but it's social proof for sure. But as far as getting hired off of, seeing people seeing your splash art, it's like, unfortunately, that's a bunch of artists looking at that. And they're not generally going to hire you because they feel intimidated and they don't have the money. So, but.
Yeah. So Pavo asks, name please a couple of bad habits that the majority of beginners artists have.
Ooh. I think we've been saying a few. One of them is too much bad work and
committing too much. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Which too many low quality pieces and not enough one or two show pieces is one of the biggest ones.
Random subjects. So water sim, modeling, rigging, character this, a rock, lots of no goals, too big of projects. They're trying to achieve too much with their limitations.
Yeah, I think that's one of the
better to do
biggest
less
ones
with more.
is people trying to make their magnum opus straight in or out of college, like and trying to do everything themselves. Just do one good thing in a project, and then like it's completely okay. Okay, it's completely okay to find a free high res model, and then just apply the textures and just call it out. Model by whatever textured. Because guess what? When I hire you, I'm hiring you for textures. I'm not gonna hire you to do everything on a project.
Yeah, so those are some of them. Overall, not be willing to change your mindset. So as new artists, we have an idea of what true art is, of who we are as artists, and we attach too much of our identity to the results of our art. And I would say be willing to change your mindset in some areas as who you are as a person, not your whole, but be willing to learn and grow and adjust to what gets you results, to what gets you where you want to be, and be willing to adjust your mindset and weave and flow and change some things about what you believe and grow. The ones who stay stuck is like, I will only use Blender because that's the only software I use. It's like, be willing to try new softwares, to try new tools. Blender is fantastic. I've tried to get off Blender and I end up coming back. So
yeah, I think
don't get stuck
on that. Like, here's an example: is when I first started as a motion designer, I thought using plugins was cheating. Like, I would, if you bought a pack of some sort or had presets, I was like, that's cheating. You're not a real artist. You're just using someone else's color grade, and that's not fair. And you should make it all yourself. And that's that makes you a true creative. If you're using like a LUT or anything, then you're cheating. Is my mindset, and that was the most wrong thing like I could ever think. And you could go backwards with that forever to be like, well, you didn't write the code of the program, right? And I could go back on that forever and ever and ever. And you didn't invent the guitar, you know what I mean? So what clients care about is the results, and what you should be caring about and what you see happening with people that are the best in the world, people like Ashthorpe, people like Beeple, is they're just using stuff they've already made. They're using, a back library. They're using models they bought on TurboSquid, and they just care about the end result. It's like, how do I communicate best I can these things? So that's an example of what Alan's talking about is, you're going to come in with all these opinions and all these ideas, and having an open enough mind to adjust and change and not be so judgmental of people that are trying to make a living off of their art and are trying to, pay for their life while creating art. It's like, yeah, you can be a pure artist and make everything from scratch and just be broke your whole life if you want to do that. Or you can figure out how you can still stay true to what you're trying to communicate and accomplish while also
Yeah.
providing, which is the whole goal of Alan's course, right? Is like, how do you actually get some freedom as a freelancer so you're not living paycheck to paycheck, or under that. So how do I
Yeah.
know what I want to do concretely? I want to do
Well,
maps.
actually, before that, we have Do I Need My Own Website as a
Oh, we do
freelancer?
have that. Skipped over
Um,
that one.
no, you don't need it. It does help because it's the one place where you have total control of the message you're saying. But again, I use Adobe Portfolio, and it's kind of a mix of ArtStation and my own website to where it's templated enough that I don't need to know coding and website design. ArtStation doesn't hurt. You could just have it there if your work is good enough and you're able to communicate. But as you grow, you can move on to your own portfolio so you can just make that message more personal and more trustworthy. Again, if you're working just in the game industry, full-time jobs, you may not need your own portfolio. If you want to sell a product, ooh, that's different. So it depends on your goals.
Yeah.
And as a freelancer, it doesn't hurt. It helps.
These are all
in my experience.
These are all tools, right? That's something to always keep in mind whenever we talk about anything. They're all tools. Your own website's a tool, and you need to ask. Like, I don't just go and ask somebody, should I go buy a hammer? What are you looking to do? Like, oh, I need a screw and a button. Like, no, then get a screwdriver, right? So, depending on what you're trying to do is going to inform, what you should have. So for me, it's a must to have my own website, right? I'm trying to work with large companies and I'm saying that we're our own company ourselves, and so I need a website. But yeah, like you said, I know someone that's an ex art director at Blizzard and now the head of pretty much all creative at Counterplay. He doesn't have an art station or anything, or like anything, and it's insane because you like look at the work he's done, and it's like he's touched, every Blizzard main title. He's touched every Diablo game. He's worked on all this stuff, and he's just like, he just doesn't need it. He gets all of his work through relationships. He's well known enough in the circles that he needs to be known in that it's not worth it for him to invest in a website when he's not looking to get clients from the web. He already knows who he wants to get work from, and it's the people who already know him.
To hire you, I would say you don't need your own website. You need good work and solving a clear problem for us. For Disney to hire you, maybe you do.
It depends. There's a ton of artists they hire that just have a really strong social.
As
presence.
a freelancer, and I guess it depends your role in the project.
Right.
So, if you want to be a full agency, of course, have your own website. If you want to do a smaller part of the project, just show that you solved that small problem. And I wish we could say, do this or do this and get.
I know, right? That'd be so nice.
And we keep on going back to the fundamentals. What's your goals? Who's your client? And that's why you have to spend so much time refining that over and over again. It's something I'm thinking about every day. And like I say in the course, create your own client profiles. So as you make decisions, you can look at that profile and go, okay, I think this will help this client. That's what I do with you guys as I'm sending emails and making these presentations, is I have profiles that I created of people like in your similar situation. I make decisions based on that.
Right.
So True Russian Pearson also asks, how do I know what I want to do concretely?
I think it's supposed to have an accent
maps, characters.
on it. True Russian Pearson. That makes more sense, right? If you read it with the accent, Pearson. Am I insulting all the Russians right now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. That's how they would say it, though. They wouldn't say person.
How do I know what I want to do concretely? I want to do maps, characters, basically a lot. And a lot of artists say, don't do that. Well, there you go. Don't do that. I wish we're creative people. We love to think what Jordan Peterson calls laterally. We have the shiny syndrome, the shiny object syndrome. Yes. We're like the dog from the movie Up from Pixar. Like squirrel. We're talking like shiny thing, squirrel. And it's frustrating, but we have to learn how to enjoy that creative mindset within limitations that get you your results. So as you're working on on if you want to focus on environments, you can add characters and satisfy that curiosity, but focus on the environments, get really good on that, and have creativity within the problem you're solving. So for me, I created this course, and if you see the trailer, I have some CG stuff happening because that's what I like and I care about, but it's still focused on solving creative freelance problems. So that's how I experiment within that creativity myself.
Yeah, I would say one way you can do that is um, there is still style, right? You can still stand out by having a specific style that people hire you for. The hard part about all of these things is they're so different, and you can take a lifetime mastering um, any one of these uh, skills can take your whole career to get really good at. Um, so what you can always do is start develop stuff on your own time. Like there's nothing wrong with doing maps on your own time, characters on your own time, but find the one that you want to present, and then do whatever you want. Like I do all sorts of stuff that clients do not know about. Like I rock climb. I used to rock climb, not so much now, but I used to rock climb and Alan boxed, and I would I rollerblade and I used to play the harp professionally. I don't advertise those things in the same spot because they're not important to the client. They're not what they need. And the same thing with like little things that you do. I've made little things in the past just for fun. I've made videos for my family. It's like I'm not showing all those in one spot, even though they're all a part of me. Most people are interested only in one part of you. So feel free to do maps, do characters, do whatever you want to do, but have one focus that makes it really easy for someone to hire you for that, and to
Yeah.
separate your personal self from your professional self in that sense, because we're all too complicated for anybody to get the full value and the full
Yeah.
experience of knowing us, and so they need to have a chunk of us that they can see what they can use and what the value is. Can you
True
choose
Russian.
two? I mean, you can choose as many as you want. I'm not. There's no like limit. You know, I'm just telling you what's going to be easiest to get hired for, is having a specific thing. You can break it up to
So
two.
what
You can break it up to three, but it's just
what
specifically.
I yeah what I really recommend, True Russian Pearson. I
Pearson.
can tell by your question. I can tell by your questions that the first thing I want you to work on is the changing that mindset of it's not about if you can focus on two or characters or this. It's about what job do you want to be hired for and what are they looking for. Do that first. And then ask that question. Can I focus on 2 points? Will that get me the result I'm looking for? Think about results, not activities. Should I be eating fruits or vegetables? Should I be drinking this or that? It's like, okay, what result are you looking for first, and how do you get there? And it's a hard mindset change, but it makes all the difference.
Yeah. I think one thing that artists don't realize is I think we like to think that we're all these empathetic creatures. Most of us are incredibly selfish. We're trying to get people to hire us for what we want to do. And that's not how life works. Why should I pay you to do what you want? The whole point is I'm paying you to do what I want. That's why I'm paying you. I'm giving you something, which is what you want, money. And then I'm getting what I want, which is a design or an artwork or a character or whatever it is. And the way most artists approach it is like, you should pay me, so you should give me something. And then I get to do what I want as well. So I get to do my own thing and I get your money. That's not fair. That's not a good exchange. So, take your eyes a little bit off of what you want to do and the stuff. That's fine if you want to do it, but why should anyone pay you for it? So if you're looking to get paid, start thinking about the people you want to get paid by. What can you give them that they want? Can you give them that's going to make their life better? Okay, so we have a couple more questions, and then we can probably wrap up here as we're about 30 minutes over. Is that true? Yes. So let's wrap up in the next 5 or so minutes.
Patricio Mariano says, what would you guys recommend to land an entry job in the game industry? Find the person who's in the game industry, who does what you want to do, and who feels like your next step. and learn from them. Find several of them, reach out to them, and ask them. I wish if I was in the game industry, I would be able to tell you exactly. I'm not, but find someone who is. Ask them, send them a nice message like, I love your work. I would like to grow into your kind of job, and I would love for you. They'll tell you exactly step by step what you need to do. And then all you do is do it.
Right.
That's my
Again, like Alan said, try to find out where they are. Find out where people in the game industry hang out, who they know. The problem is artists is we like to hang out with other artists. The problem with that is other artists don't hire us. So sometimes you can get a job from another artist, and usually what that looks like is this is how I got into the game industry. Is somebody I did work for, they got hired, they became a community manager. So essentially, it was an indie game that I was funding on Patreon, and they started a forum, and I was very active on the forums. And there's a guy that was starting a YouTube channel about that game. He got hired to manage the community. He got hired as a community manager. And they asked him, hey, do you know anyone that does motion design? And he goes, oh, yeah, this guy just did a whole bunch of stuff for my YouTube channel for fun. And so then that's how I got introduced. So you can get introduced from knowing people. That's harder to recreate, right? What Alan's saying is easier to recreate, which is figure out what they need and then be active in the spaces. Why that guy got hired is because he showed that he could manage a community. He showed that he was active in this forum. So something that seems like really lucky, right? Oh, they just hired this guy because he was on their forums. That seems like luck. It's really not. He was in a place where he could be seen by the client. He demonstrated his capabilities to be really active in the community, manage the community. And then when they needed to hire community managers, he was an obvious choice. And then they also used him to make announcements about new patches, about, whatever. It's like stuff that's, needed to be communicated to the user base. That was something that he could communicate easily. So get in that way, get in via being in places where the people that are making these games are going to see you. Hang out in their Patreons if they're a small game. If they're bigger games, be active in their Twitter feeds and wherever else they're going to be. The bigger they are, the harder it's going to be to get in contact with them. So try to find rising stars, right? So a couple of years ago, that would have been the Vermintide and Fat Shark guys, which by the way, those guys they respond. They'll friend you back. I've reached out to those guys and message and they'll follow back. Look for people I follow back in their portfolio. That's a really good one.
Yeah. Twitter is a good place as well for the gaming industry.
I hate Twitter, but that's where they live.
So Pavel asks, Alec, what do you do in the course? I invite him on to do some conversations. So we have some more podcast MP3 style only conversations where I talk about specific subjects. So we go over a lot of fundamentals. And then I like to bring Alec on to do specific conversations that you can listen to meanwhile you're working, that gives you specific ideas on how you can apply that to your career. And sometimes I also bring him on during the student live calls. What I like about that is I get to see you guys face to face. So we do Zoom calls and we can talk face to face and learn from each other in those ways. And you can ask even deeper questions there. So sometimes I bring Alec on there, and those are the main things Alec has graciously helped out with in the course.
Yeah, and I've been good friends with Alan for this before the course, but also the whole year he spent building it. He's shown me stuff, and I've given my input on the different sections. He has homework that sometimes I've helped out with. There's some. I think we list one of my contracts, right? This word for word.
Oh yeah, he provided a contract template
that I use with real clients. So there's a bunch of stuff like that I've just been working hand in hand with Alan. Alan has a really great mind for organization, as even in this call you can see. I'm all over the place, and he's very organized and is able to present stuff in a lot better package than I would. And I'm more moved by the seat of my pants. And I'm always, have the shiny object syndrome for sure. So, so I just kind of was advising and helping out throughout the process as well.
I'm just answering on chat here.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the two portfolio idea in some sense because they're going to help you feed into each other. Your 2D is going to feed into the 3D, and the 3D is going to help you with your 2D. As you learn geometry, you'll make a better 2D artist, and as you learn 2D design, it'll make you a better 3D artist.
But 2 portfolios, I don't know.
If you can manage it, it's a lot of work. But man, these Russians work hard. Let me tell you, hire a lot of Russians.
That's true. I've seen a lot of. By the way, yeah, I've seen a lot of amazing Russian portfolios.
Right. You look at Mache, you look at, Andrei, I forget his last name, but I mean, not that people groups make you better or worse at something, but just know it's more work. Like totally, you can do 2, but you're gonna do twice the work to be as good as someone that's doing just 1.
Yeah. All right. So how about let's do one last question.
Final question.
Make
it valuable.
And then want to remind you guys that, let's see, we have one last call coming up to talk about how you negotiate great project rates, how you get, how you can get good money from your projects and how to address that subject.
Oh, and it's like the least favorite thing for artists. It's like, I have to defend my work and I have to say no to clients that are going to shortchange me, and I have to make sure I'm choosing projects that are right for me. It's going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go back to the presentation. Q&A. Oh, I don't have that slide here, but let's leave that down. Last question. Oh yeah, Vitaly Bulgarov.
Yeah, Vitaly's amazing. Yeah, everyone that's been on the Collective podcast pretty much is awesome.
All right. So, last question from Sarah J. Does the course mostly help to find freelance job or a game studio? So nice. So the course is focused on freelancing. But what I like about it is there are people who have come in from the game industry and from different industries. And because it's so fundamentally based, it applies across. The only thing I won't be able to help you with is super specifics about how the game industry works. Good news is what you learn applies there as well to get full-time jobs, and it helps you stand out because you think just a little bit differently than the person that's in the game industry. It's like, I'm just doing this for me, for my own portfolio. And it helps you grow within the industry because you understand what they care about. And it helps you stand out.
Yeah. And then that's also something, by the way, which is really fun about part of the course, having the live chat functions, the like group meetings, there's a question,
there's people in the community
board
who are in the game industry.
Right. There's a whole community part of it. So it's not just a course. That's one of the hard things. There's so much in this. The course is there, but then there's also the community around it. There's a Discord. And there's a lot of questions like that if it's not specifically answered, you'll have access to somebody that has those answers. And then my plan going forward here is to start doing more interviews with people. Whether it's going to be on CG Boost or on the Royals and Rogues channel, we'll see. But that's going to be more related to specific topics, so we can get broader and things that I'm not an expert on. There's some people I really hope to have on that you probably recognize from the YouTube space or from the Instagram, like people that I think will be really fun to talk to and to ask specific questions. We're going to ask hard questions. That's the whole point, is we're going to ask all the hardest questions. And not just the generic ones like, what machine do you use? Whatever. So,
what I want you guys to be thinking about in this free course, and if you decide to join the CG Career Booster course, is that I don't want you guys to do a course. No one really wants to do a course who's like, yes, I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to start this course. But what we want to be focusing on is, where do I want to be and how will this thing get us there? So when you're hired for a company or something, no one really wakes up in the morning and is like, I can't wait to hire a 3D modeler. They're like, I want this result. How do I get there? 3D modeler. And there's a difference there, a very powerful difference. So thank you so much, Alec, for joining today's call. Thank you, everybody, for joining in, asking great questions. This has been fun, exciting, funny. And I hope to see you guys on Monday, 7 p.m. CET. And remember that Tuesday we end the discount for the CG Career Booster course. And if you want to jump in, I recommend you do it before that so you get the discount. You can even start the course later. We've had people jump in the course and say I'm going to have it for later, but at least I got the discount, which is also great. We'll be doing live calls and all this great stuff. And I hope to see you guys in the emails and more courses like these. And you guys are fantastic.
I better
Thank
see
you,
every
Tim,
single
Pablo,
one of you Monday.
everybody, Dave.
Gonna see you all Monday.
Yeah, everyone here has to come Monday.
Yeah, and invite a friend. Invite a friend. I want to see twice as many people. I'm excited.
Yeah, and we'll send you guys a replay through email. So keep your emails open for that. All right, bye everybody. Yes, it is available for rewatch. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.